will be short. I have a feeling my phone is dying. And so after all, my phone is dying. But that is okay, 'cause I'm not lying. Ba-da-da-da. This is a thought that to be brief, to be short, that musical skills were sold to me in my company when I was at school as an ingredient to a better life from California to New York. This is the idea that to learn to play an instrument or to learn to sing, but especially to play an instrument, and especially an instrument that you play with your fingers, guitar, piano, accordion, I'm thinking of those in particular. But any instrument with fingerings involved. I'm speaking from my own experience, not as a performance major. So I'm speaking from a limited experience, not something from school exactly, but from music lessons and from music teachers. I'm getting somewhere with the idea. No, I'm talking about this idea that scales, because of their fundamental status as a building block of structure, because scales are so important, the idea goes, learning scales in the sense of getting them under your thumbs, getting them handy. There was a video I was watching today. Someone was talking about the Oppenheimer score, and he said, it could be this way. It could be just a pattern that goes down, and he did this with his like that. Because it was probably very easy for him as a musician to play his scales, because his scales were learned by rote to be played. Anyway, I'm not getting anywhere. This is going nowhere. But the phone is going to die at 4%. Anyway, there's this idea that before you need to play anything, before you need to play, you can get ahead by learning scales, learning them under your hands, so that they're there for you to access. And of course, I'm here to say this is a fantasy, because learning scales by rote in your hands, as such, no, it doesn't it doesn't teach you much else that other than learning those scales, which is not nothing, but if you have the perception that that is fundamental to playing an instrument, you're really going to, what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to get your money's worth for the time that you put in to that exercise that you didn't want to do. It wasn't very fun. And more important, it wasn't for its own sake. So what are you going to end up being biased towards is playing your instrument with scales. Yeah, that's all I have to say. And aside from being a gate from one level to aside from being a gatekeep, it doesn't it doesn't serve a purpose. It could be skipped entirely. Nobody would ever know. It would just skip right over. Do not do it. Don't look at yourself in the mirror. Just kidding. It's a face. There's a face anyway. Is not is like learning to say you as fast as possible, so that way by the time you're speaking speech, it's the myth. You have all the things that you could possibly want available to you. But your means of the way you got that is by a means of navigating, which is one-dimensional. That's why there's variations of scale studies that, okay, well, you went up, one step, and then down, one step. Now we're going to stagger it. So you go up, two, down, one, do bad. And now, yeah, it's a new exercise. It's new figuration. And useless. Yuck. Bad. Poor use of time. It's a bad narrative about what you're doing as a player of an instrument. It appeals to an idea that like an instrumentalist as a technician, which like is an idea that this instrument, this piano has so many different buttons, and it's really important to know what each button does in a meticulous way. I'm trying to talk only about scale running. I don't mean to say. What don't I mean to say? I feel like you gotta say, there's a real advantage to learning E major scale as opposed to E flat major scale. And that's true. I'm only talking about running scales because I feel as though running scales is like people actually care about it. for its own sake. And I'm very suspicious that if you do, you don't know why. That's all. That's sort of what I'm getting at.